Hey everybody, welcome back to the Wild at Heart podcast here in the week of November 20th, which is Thanksgiving week. And we've got a really good podcast for you today because the holidays kick in. Like this is, if you haven't noticed, this is the official kickoff of the holiday season. So I have props and my pals here in the studio. And we want to just talk about Thanksgiving week, talk about the holidays, family life. But before we do that, and maybe most appropriately this week, let's do our pause. Let's just take a moment and try and release everything, especially the coming week and family travel, expectations. Let's just take a moment, because if we can release all that, we can find God. And we can find our own souls here in this week's podcast. Okay. So let's just do that. So Father, Jesus, Holy Spirit, I release everything. I release the coming week. I release the pressures, the expectations, my own and others. I release everyone and everything. And just take a moment and do that, friends. Just release everything. And the reason that we release is so that we can find God. And so what we pray is that you would restore us, renew us, fill us, God. Meet us here this week in the Thanksgiving podcast. Amen. Okay, got my props. Got I got my tree.
Wow.
Charlie Brown tree. You even decorated it, John. Way to go.
Yeah. And the honest thing is, this actually wasn't hard to find.
Because
we didn't do a great job of putting everything away last year. Like, there was stuff like sitting on top of the refrigerator in the spare room. Anyway. So this week, Morgan, Alex, Alan, welcome, guys.
Thanks,
Good
John.
to be here. Yeah.
Thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
So I brought my props to kind of help you get in the mood, in the spirit of the shift into the holiday season. And
oh man, my reaction is anxiety. I just feel some anxiety right now.
I thought you were going to say jolly, but anxiety.
If I'm honest.
Oh, it's
like,
right?
Yeah, decorating, got some things to do. Like, yeah, I get caught up in those thoughts right now.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Thank you for naming the anxiety. Yeah.
My first reaction is pressure. And just like, I'm not fishing for something. I go, okay, as you say that, I go, pressure. And then what is the pressure? Well, I want it to be great for my wife and for my kids. And I want to make sure I don't miss something. And it's just this thing of, I want pressure.
You feel the pressure.
I feel the pressure.
For
it to be great for all the people, that entrusted in my care, extended relatives, the ones that are showing up that we know about and the ones that come that we don't know about. Right. That seems to be the theme, right?
Yeah.
And the kids and not miss the mark and the traditions and pressure.
And who are you going to invite and who aren't you going to invite? And are they going to be upset that I didn't get invited? And like all that comes rushing in for me. That's the anxiety I feel as I look at some of that. And the to-dos.
Yeah.
Like, that all feels like a lot of to-dos to me right now.
Well, it's like an acceleration that doesn't happen any other time of the year, quite like what we're entering into from November 1st on, which feels like this rush of days go by in the blink of an eye. The calendar's overfull. There's so many expectations and opportunities and events. And last night, Kelly and I had dinner and we were talking about this podcast. And so we were on the topic of Thanksgiving and Christmas at a restaurant. And she says, so what are you thinking about when you think about, the holidays? And I said, well, if I'm being honest, just rest and getting off the grid and things slowing down. And she goes, no, I mean about the holidays. This is the problem right here. But I smiled and we kept talking. I gave her the answer that I knew was the better answer. But, it is an acceleration of, it feels like too much. And to hold on to the joy is hard sometimes. Not because our spouses are on opposite ends, but just because it feels like navigating something that is too much.
There's a lot to navigate. Yeah. And what I find fascinating is I think women in the family tend to feel more the pressure around hosting and holiday and joy and good family, and then the awkwardness of, or maybe not. There isn't good family, and it's hard because it's lonely or not what we hoped it would be. So I'm surprised to hear you feel the pressure, because normally the pressure is associated, in American culture with the woman who's having to throw the Thanksgiving dinner and get Christmas prepared and that sort of thing. So let's unpack pressure from a male perspective for a moment, because I feel it, and it's not just, oh man, I've got so much work to do. There's some underlying pressure of, I've got to carry joy for people, or I don't know, arrange for it. So talk to me about the pressure.
John, decades ago now, you made this comment that you said, it takes 5 years to figure out what Christmas means to your wife. And at the time, I was just married. And I was like, didn't really understand. And then I realized, actually, it's more like 15 years.
Yes.
I haven't really figured it out yet, right?
Can I up that?
Exactly. And you realize, Alan, to your point of there's a lot going on, but I would say externally and internally. Yeah. And so I noticed, so for our family, all of our extended family is an airplane away. So we've done 24 years of airplanes during holidays in general. So the emotional memory of holidays is the pressure, expense, canceled flights, stuck in Dallas, halfway to something, and what I notice, there was this interesting thing. Cher would be with her family, and I'd be like, dude, who kidnapped my wife and put someone else in her body? Who is this woman? And her voice would even be different. And it'd be really familiar with her siblings. But I'm like, that's not my wife. Wow. I don't recognize her. Wow. She's having the time of her life. I feel like I'm married to a different woman. And what I wasn't aware of at the time was there's a part of her that surfaces in her family that they call out that doesn't come out in other places. And then you guys know it. When I go home to my family, the pool is the part of me that was very statically a different person in a different lifetime. Yes. He wants to sort of drive the bus that's me. And so what I notice is the holidays surface these parts that don't often show up in the rest of our life. And it took a lot of years to know, first of all, how to have compassion, and then to understand what's going on, that's not the whole person, me or my wife, but it is part of us. And we need to pay attention to that and know, what does it look like to love here? So I think that's part of it too, of all the things within that get stirred.
Okay, so we would get in an argument leaving the house every year for the early years of our marriage. We would get in an argument every single time. And it was because all I was trying to do
I'm feeling better already.
Was point out some of the family dynamic. Which in my defense were completely accurate, which in her defense was like totally unkind and untimely.
Yes.
And so we aren't even out of the driveway when I'm editorializing on her sisters and their stuff, or her mom. And there's just this, there is something, it's almost like, okay, so when I am conducting a wedding or somehow supporting or involved closely in a wedding of a loved one, I always warn people, look, I don't know what it is, but weddings bring out everybody's weird. Mm-hmm. It just, whatever they're little quirky, broken, if they're controlling, they are going to be really controlling. Mm-hmm. And if they are sort of withdrawing, they are going to like disappear. Mm-hmm. There's just something about weddings that seems to crank the dial up on people's brokenness. It feels like the holidays have been that for us historically in a larger family context. We've got some wonderful, wonderful memories of intimate family where we aren't traveling. Yeah. We just finally got to the place where we couldn't travel anymore. We just it just was too much. And so we started doing it at home and we got a little bit out of some of that family dynamic. But yeah, just to name that. Mm-hmm. So what do you do navigating family? Like, as you anticipate the holiday season, we got Thanksgiving this week. And I love Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday because it doesn't have the gifts and all the pressure and the presents and stuff around Christmas. As you anticipate navigating guests, community, family, whoever it is that may be gathering or you're gathering at their place.
One thing we had to do early on in our marriage, and we're still 25 years in navigating it, is for Kelly, whether it's my extended family or hers, the more the merrier. And so and a lot
of anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of them are listening to the podcast. And I want to just make clear, I love our extended family. I really do, on both sides. But if I had, kind of my dream Thanksgiving or Christmas, it would probably be just the nuclear family for that day. Now, before, sure, bring it on. Kelly's would probably be, no, if we could have, everyone in on both sides of the family Christmas morning, great, even better. And so we've had to navigate, there's no right or wrong, but the expectations and the imaging and the how do I see the holidays, we've really had to work through together, because otherwise it feels like her way, my way. And what we really want is, what's the way that's going to make our hearts come most alive and enjoy it best. And so it's been bumpy and messy. And for Christmas, what we've mainly done now is say, okay, at least Christmas Day, let's try to have it just be the five of us. And then if there's, for our kids, a boyfriend, girlfriend, if it's extended family, try to do that after and really have it be a blast and a fun time. But that's been something that's helped us, is just talking it through, because otherwise the expectations, you're on opposite parallel paths that collide at some point in the driveway maybe, or
especially if you haven't articulated it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I'm really grateful. That's one area that feels like Mel and I seem to match up on, is that idea of we do need just our nuclear family, our, her and I and the kids and the dog. And so we, we're pretty intentional, like you're saying, Alan, of going, okay, what are we going to do with extended family and others, and what are we willing to give to that? And then let's put guardrails up around our time together, because it is, that is really sacred to us. Yeah. And, creates those anxious moments where you got to say, no, I'm sorry, we're not going to get together with you on Christmas Day. Right. And so when I talk about the anxiety of family and expectations, more of that extended thing that we, you navigate it every year, and it's challenging. You've got, different expectations with different people, and whether they're, Mel's sister is single, and so there is a pressure of course, we want to spend time with her, and we want to honor her and get time, but at times that's hard to say, hey, we're not available.
We're not coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And let me dive a little bit deeper. What are the holidays like for you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's good? What do you look forward to? Like, as you kind of navigate your own heart through the holiday season, which is filled with this weird mixture of nostalgia and longing, and pressure and reality, and just busy. What's that like for your internal world, quite apart from the family or church or community environment?
And John, for me, I notice it's changed over the decades, because the family of origin that we come from shapes it so much. Like hearing those stories, like Sherry grew up in more the merrier cousins and second cousins and third cousins. Like we didn't have.
It's like Hobbiton.
It was a little less joy, but yes. And realizing how much that shaped us. And I used to go in, Alan, like this, remember that feeling of, oh, this is supposed to be a break, right? This is supposed to be a refilling time. Yeah. And I think what's shifted inside of me is actually, this is mostly an opportunity to love. Mm-hmm. And if that's the case, what do I need to do to be well? Which is a real different shift. And just even simple boundaries, like we were often on an airplane. And so we started changing our trips to, we come back on Saturday instead of Sunday. Every trip we take for the holidays, because we need transition. And it used to be maximize the days and, get the best deal on a
Sunday
flight.
Night.
Yeah. And it's just not good for the soul. And we protect Christmas as non-travel anymore. And every other Thanksgiving, we go to a family. And so learning how to set boundaries with the shift of like, I'm not a victim. Like, I'm not a victim. I have choices, and I know there are things I need to do to be well. And so even on the trips, I will engage, and I've learned just engaging with one-on-one, a nephew, a niece, an aunt, go for a walk, do an activity, play a game. Like that's better for me than all of the chaos. And then I vanish. I take a headlamp and always a great book on every family trip. And I've learned I don't, they're probably going to listen to this, but I hide in a closet and read a book different times during the day because that's my reset. That's what it takes to love.
I love that.
I carry a headlamp.
Do you remember Brad's story?
Oh, hiding in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Falling asleep? He goes into the bedroom to just get out of the chaos.
Yeah. He never wakes up.
He looks at the bed and he's like, oh. And he lies down. He's like, I'm just
such
going to
a
rest.
comfortable bed.
Falls asleep, but his wife is
Lisa
like an
comes
hour
to the
later
door.
comes looking for him. Are you okay?
It's not that bad. I'm not as bad as Beck yet. But there's something about learning. I'm not a victim. Set boundaries. What do I need to do to stay in Christ, to be well, in order that I can love people? And not look for this is my chance, but when is my chance to be filled? And that's just, I think it's really helped me settle in and be attuned to what God's doing rather than resentful.
So the bane of my Christmas every year, the thing that throws me off, the thing that I try to do well but I dread.
Let me just say, and he loves you all. Okay, I feel like I need to couch this.
I know.
Go ahead.
Is that
Alan.
anybody? Christmas lights. I'm just saying that's the thing for me because early on we dream about how to light our outside house, all the exterior, But it's also even, and I feel like Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation trying to plug in 17 different strands of lights and trying to get up on a really steep roof, and
Cousin Eddie out in the front.
And none of them work from last year, you know. And it's even the tree, because we bought years ago an artificial tree that was really big and expensive, but it was pre-lit. And that was the thing. Thousands of pre-lit lights that last forever, ever lights, you know. And after the first year, I plug it in, and I found out when one light goes out, the whole thing goes out.
Gosh.
And so I spent that Christmas, because I knew I had to relight the tree, right? So I got clippers and had to clip off thousands of lights one at a time, or throw away this super big, expensive tree. So lights for me, anytime I go into the holidays, I'm like, I want it to be twinkly. I want it to be warm and inviting. And I know it's going to be a struggle. And I have to guard against that, because you're prepping for Christmas up front with that part.
Yeah.
And when that goes off kilter and you're spending hundreds more dollars and you're at the hardware store 20 times, that's kind of my struggle.
What is the scientific explanation that Christmas lights the next year don't work?
I'm convinced it's capitalism. They make them that way, right?
What is that?
Every year.
Like you, Morgan, what I've had to start learning, and you mentioned earlier, like the 5 years of figuring out your wife, and for you, it's 15 years. I mean, for me, it's like 25 years, which Mel and I just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary.
So you're there.
So I'm there. All right. It's taken that long, and there's something in me, like I don't fully know what it is, but there's some kind of, you guys seen the Grinch movie?
Yes.
There's something in me of that around Christmas, and I don't know what it is, and it's been this thing between Mel and I over the years where it just has made it tough. And she wants the decorations. She wants the house full of, and there's something in me that wants simplicity and wants quiet. And as you were saying, Alan, like, I want Christmas to be a break, and I want it to be rest and renewal and refreshment. And over the years, it's felt like, the expectation is, no, we got to do all this stuff and get everything decorated and get it all. And I've had to come to the place of like, that is really important to my wife, and it means a lot to her. And regardless of whatever, and I'm still dealing with like, why is that in me?
Yeah.
And I've got hunches and I'm working toward that. But bottom line is, I want to love my wife and I want to love her well. And so last year was the first year you're talking about putting on house Christmas lights. Up till now, it's been, I just would quickly put some stuff up, satisfy her need, and
check that box.
And last year I was like, no, I want to love my wife. I want to make this special. And so JD had done a whole like custom light thing on his house where he bought the roll and like custom made lights that perfectly match his roof line, and they're perfectly spaced and they all look the same color, and it's beautiful, right? And so I'm like, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that for my wife. But what I wasn't factoring in is our house has the highest roof line in the neighborhood. Like that thing is like 30 feet up there. It's pitched at a really steep angle.
Oh my gosh.
And so I put my ladder against the wall and it doesn't reach. It doesn't reach to the top. So I'm like, how am I going to get these lights up there? So long story short, what ends up happening is I've got a rope tied around my son's bed, Eli, with Eli on one end in a harness with a belay device.
On belay?
Oh my
Me
gosh.
on the other end of the rope, climbing out his window.
Come on.
Climbing up a ladder to the top part of the roof, up over the other side so I can put these lights on the house. And like, I'm literally risking my life to put lights on the house.
Okay. So you didn't know this is the hero episode you are our holiday podcast series.
Yes.
No, like there's nothing hero about it. Like it's 25 years of neglect of like, I neglected her heart in that. And it just felt like last year was a chance to go, no, I want to love her well. And I want to change that dynamic and honor that Christmas is something really special to her.
Yeah.
And all the twinkly lights looking the same and beautiful and all the decorations in the house and the clutter of that to her, that's really meaningful.
Yeah.
And so I'm slowly learning how to change that dynamic for myself to love her.
Yep.
Can you come to our house and this year, Alex? I'll pay you.
I have a ladder.
Yeah.
You show up.
Oh.
I think for me, the key word is expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't know over the years how many unspoken expectations I was bringing to the table, to the holidays, to Thanksgiving, the Christmas season, church services and family things. And, and then obviously Christmas itself. I think there was a lot of young me that was still looking for things to be really wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And growing up in an alcoholic home, it was pretty hit and miss.
Mm-hmm.
And so as an adult coming into it, I still have to navigate internal expectations. Like this is going to be the year that, it's really, really special because we're all sharing, or this is going to be the year that we're going to get snow and it's going to be really magical, or, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And I think particularly in a year like this one, the world is a place of upheaval.
Mm-hmm.
The world is unstable and hard and often traumatizing for folks. So that heightens the need for the wonderful, right? However you define the wonderful. It's quiet and cozy by the fire, or it's it's party and celebration. And like, I just kind of want to name that. I can feel my own personal expectation thermometer going up, because in an unstable world, you try and grab those moments and experiences that bring some solace to that.
John, I remember.
Go ahead.
I remember on a past podcast, we talked about expectations lead to premeditated resentments. And as you're saying that, I just noticed that is the theme of, well, how does my young heart show up in this space? And I think as I've learned to consecrate my expectations, I mean, it's been huge, and lay them down with the goal of loving.
Yeah.
I think one of the questions that has surfaced to me that I've really enjoyed in sort of that intimate place with God is, what do I want them to remember about the holiday? Like 10 years from now, when they have kids, what's their takeaway? And what I notice that matters more and more is that I bring my joy, that like I'm present and okay. And I think unmet expectations years, like there are a lot of years I would just drink too much to just medicate and sort of check out and be jovial, but not really engaged. But what I've learned is it really matters for their hearts that I am present and well.
Wow.
And so that then I'm able to adjust to, there's a few things that I'm going to fight for. Like, and like one example is we do have a tradition of cutting down the Christmas tree. And I have in my mind the expectations of what that should be like, right? And it's the hot chocolate and something transcendent.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, for them to have memories of that was really good, I have to lay down, literally put to death my expectations on that. And so every year it's different, but I've adjusted after many years to the goal is joy. And so sometimes it's inviting their friends and it's a social deal. And sometimes, right, it's like, it's that funky tree that's really close to the road because they have homework and they are stressed about their homework.
They've got an hour, not 4 hours.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just really, expectations feel like a beautiful doorway into deeper things
really
to
good.
bring to God.
Yeah.
That was going to be my question, John, and Morgan answered some of it with consecrating expectations. But how do you deal with those expectations that just surface, right?
Yeah.
Like that you can't.
Yeah.
They just naturally
Yeah.
come. How do you deal with that?
I think it's important that you let them come.
Yeah.
First off, because I think unspoken expectations are the minefield. You just don't, in you and in others, you just don't know they're there until you step on it. You know, I'm suddenly mad and I realize, because I had some assumptions about tonight, you know, that I didn't even articulate them, which is not fair.
Right.
Right. And we'll get to that in a few minutes about communication, but let them surface. It's really important that you're aware, that I'm aware of my longings, my desires, my expectations. And then I have to invite God into it, even before I talk to Stace about them. And I think communicating expectations is really important, so that you learn that Mel actually really does care about how the house looks. And it's like, okay, babe, I hear you. Like, I think it's important to talk it through.
Yeah.
But before I do that, because it's so unfair for me to laden the event, the carol singing, the church service, whatever it is, to laden it with my expectations.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not fair. What I need to do is, Father, this is what I'm feeling. And I'll go rapidly through longing, expectation, hope, cynicism, resignation, checked out before anything has happened. Right? You just go, it's going to be great. Oh, no, it's not going to be great. It's going to be really disappointing. I'm already gone. Father, here is all that. Here is all that. Please come into that. Please meet me here. And what I'm really longing for is something much deeper. Oswald Chambers, one of his great, great lines is, the only person that can satisfy the aching abyss of the human heart is Jesus Christ. What I'm really longing for is like the kingdom, transcendence, perfect intimacy, perfect love, perfect joy, that can't be taken away. And so, Jesus, come into this as I navigate the holidays. It's just huge for me.
For me, John, one of the things that's really been helpful is we've talked some about the pressure of the holidays overall, like the expectations from others, from us. And for me, it's just been this micro focus on moments that are really great. And it can be a 5-minute conversation with my daughter that wasn't even scheduled, that just was a quick sit down in the family room. It can be a cup of coffee with Kelly before we go out into the blur of all the activities that morning. But if I go into the holidays thinking, those are really actually the best parts. Like, there's not some grand climax or finale Christmas morning around the tree. It really is the things leading up that don't even feel in the moment like it may be the special moment. And one thing as a family we've done every year for 15 years, goofy thing, there's a department store near us, And so from when our kids were young, we would each give them a $20 bill, and we'd draw names, and we'd go in and get something in the store without showing each other whose name we had or what we were going to get. And then we'd go to dinner. And it was always like, Chase one year got me a Superman zip up onesie that didn't fit. It was a medium and I need a double XL. But I came down, that night wearing it, and he trying to wear it. And those are the moments that I think, like when I look back, if I'll go into those wholeheartedly from the beginning and go, this is actually it. And this is it. And this is it. And I got those things. If I'll be fully present, then to me, I finished the holidays not weary and exhausted, but more wholehearted.
I'd love to see you in that onesie.
Oh, I know.
Please, Christmas party. Do us all. Right? Bring us that Christmas gift.
It's not too late. I could do that. I could bring the joy.
So I got another question for you, but I also want to just name, I'm very aware that half of our listeners are not in intact family systems. And this table is very unique in that we didn't come from those family systems. There's death of parents or divorced or alcoholic homes or, and so to keep reality, this isn't an enchanted life, but we happen to be at this moment within intact nuclear families. And there is a lot of loneliness and a lot of difficulty for singles or couples who aren't near family, and it is just the two of them trying to make something special of the holidays, or people who have to work, people who are deployed. There's just a lot of scenarios I want to name right now. We're aware of that. And we're just speaking out. What have we learned from our personal experience, right? You got to come from your own story. But I think the things that we're naming about expectations, longings, pressures, learning to communicate is applicable in all settings, including the question I'm about to ask. So I think this is huge for everybody. What are the agreements that you have to break every holiday season? Or that you can anticipate? Is there, you know what I'm trying to get at? Like, is there a cluster of agreements that tend to get in the way or present themselves around the holiday season? Because I think this is really, really helpful for every person listening to this is, oh, right. What are the agreements I'm making around this?
Yeah, the first one that comes to me is just chronic of, I know how this is going to go, which is absolutely untrue, right? Yeah. This breaking the agreement, this is how this thing goes. Yep. Well, Christmas Eve is Sherry's birthday. Christmas Eve was probably one of the sort of only magical times of my childhood. And so I come with expectation of something transcendent for my family.
Yeah.
She comes with the mix of hope and shame of it's my birthday, but it's Christmas Eve. And the agreement is every year, this is not going to go well. And therefore, right, it sabotages the thing that God is doing.
Yeah.
Because I can't attune to it.
Yeah.
So I would say the agreement for me that is the umbrella under all of them is I know how this is going to go, which is absolutely not true. It's a new moment, a new day, a new provision from God, and a new opportunity. I need to break that agreement. Thank you.
That's
for
just
exposing
huge. That's huge. Yeah.
I think similarly, Morgan, for me, it's that thing of I won't come through on this Christmas. I won't meet the expectation that I know is there. And so there's that piece of that I have to, and I'm not saying that I broke that agreement last Christmas. Like I'm looking forward to this Christmas going, dang, I need to break that because that gets in the way every time. And it almost, as I'm sitting here thinking about it, looking at it going, I think that's the thing that sabotages me a lot, because then I just get frozen, right? And then it's like, you know, I'm not.
It's paralyzing.
I'm not going to come through, so I'm not going to come through.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't even try.
Yeah.
Yep.
How about for you, John?
Well, I'm trying to locate this year's. And I think it's a little bit of a version of yours of this will be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm already guarding my heart.
Yeah.
By kind of fortressing, and because we're at a fascinating moment. So we are empty nesters. We have 3 adult sons. They have their own families, and you know, we're in the rotation where one year we get Thanksgiving together, but not Christmas, and then the next year we get Christmas, but not Thanksgiving. So that's a good, healthy thing, and they need to, you know, go be with their other families. And but here's the thing. So when you are a grandparent, you are supporting cast.
Mm-hmm.
This has been really hard for Stace and I, because we used to be the epicenter. Like your house right now, it's kids and it's people and it's sleepovers and teenagers and young life and crazy and
universe.
But you are the epicenter.
Right.
Right. And then when that moves out, and so our sons and their wonderful wives, they now have their own homes, their own decorations, their kind of thing. And grandparents are supporting cast.
Interesting.
Oh, that has been rough to adjust to, and like bless and accept and not try and reinsert myself into the center, right? And just go, I accept this stage of life. I bless that a man must leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. And they need to form their own traditions and family things. But the agreement that gets in is so it will be okay. And then what I just start pulling back and just go, well, if it's just going to be okay, I'm going to either like go drink on the side or arrange a little joy of my own or eat too much chocolate or, do something to try and take care of my own needs in that. And I'm already checking out, and we're not even at Thanksgiving yet. Right?
Yeah.
Like we're not even there. Like not fair. Not so I'm going to have to break that agreement. And in the same spirit of, and give my heart to God, my heart's well-being to God, so that I don't saddle that on the holidays or the post-holiday rest or whatever that is.
For me, it's always a sense. Christmas is my favorite time of the year. So I love the fall, going from, the fall season with all the leaves and then into transitioning into snow and Christmas. Like I just love that time. And what I have to break is this agreement that I'm always going to be behind. It's going to come too fast, no matter how much I want to savor it. Time goes quick. I'm going to be behind. And I hate this image of me in catch-up mode in my favorite time of the year. And maybe that's why I was telling Kelly at the beginning, I want it to be a time of rest, because I want to just savor and slow down. And it feels like even from what's in the mailbox, it's the first Christmas catalog comes out way too early. It's like September, and you're like, no, it's not even close to time to think about the holidays. And then it feels like the next week it's the Last Chance catalog.
Yes.
And it may not get there unless you pay expedited shipping. And that's how I see the holidays a lot. And I really want to break that, because it creates a tightness in me and a stress and a anxiety that I don't want to have, which is, if you don't hurry up and get things done, you're going to be behind. And if you're behind, you're not going to enjoy it. And I want to just let go of that and relax. And it's hard to be present when you feel behind. So I can already sense that starting to amp up within me. And I know it's not true, but it sure feels true.
So the agreement would be, there's not enough time.
there's not enough time, and you're already behind.
And I'm already behind.
Right.
And so what we're suggesting, folks, is that you become aware of your expectations, good and bad, the story that you're telling yourself, which I love. You brought that into our culture of, can I just say the story I'm telling myself is this isn't going to go well?
It's so helpful because it's in you, but to name it.
Yeah, super helpful. So to do that, to name for yourself the story I'm already telling myself about Thanksgiving, December, Christmas, and then, sometimes we'll have to ask God, like, what are the agreements I'm making around family, aloneness, faith, church, God coming through, God not coming through. Just what are the agreements I'm making to, like, I ask you, God, show me those so that I can break them, right? Like, when we're done recording, I'm going to go down in my office and go, I'm sorry for that agreement. Like, I don't want to live out of that. I literally break it. I break agreement with, it's just going to be okay. So guard your heart. Like, no, I ultimately what I want to do is love and love well and love the people around me well. And those agreements and unspoken expectations and stuff can really get in the way of that. Now, having said all that, I don't want to end on a downer. And it isn't a downer. Like there's a lot of goodness and a lot of love and a lot of joy in our life in God. Like, God is wonderful and he comes through in very surprising ways. So what are you looking forward to? Is there a moment? Is there a something that you are really looking forward to about Thanksgiving, December, Christmas season?
Yeah, for me, a couple things. My daughter Zoe is away at school, so she'll be coming home for this Thanksgiving week and then Christmas as well. And so just having everybody together, it's such a gift. And so I'm really looking forward to that. The other thing that, along with that, we've really, over the last several years, and this is all credit to my wife, like she is the one that is helping recover something in me. As I was saying before, there's a Grinch in me that needs to be crucified. She's helping crucify that part of me. But we built some traditions in our family, and I'm so looking forward to the traditions. So one of them is not every year, but most years, we get a new set of matching pajamas for the whole family. And so on Christmas morning, we come down and we all have our, candy cane striped pajamas or lumberjack pajamas, or, we've got some different versions. And I don't know if we're going to get new ones this year. I need to talk to Mel about that. But it's such joy because we look ridiculous. We all look the same. And we'll get on the couch and set up the camera and take a picture. But it's that, right? It's those little traditions that build upon themselves year after year, and they're moments of joy, right? You find moments of joy. The other tradition for our family is every Christmas, after we've finished kind of the morning together at home and opening presents and all of that, normally what we've done is gone to a movie together. And our goal is to see how many snacks and drinks we can hide in our clothing and get into the movie theater. That's awesome. So here we are in the middle of the theater popping cans of soda.
That's awesome.
And it's just joy. Like we go watch a movie together as a family, and it's become this tradition that's really joyful for us. So those are the things that I can't wait for again this year.
Yeah.
So.
I'm looking forward to, our kids are in a young adult stage where they're really coming into their own. And so it's not the young child Christmas, but it's not yet the married and kids and we're the grandparent stage. But it's seeing them at, 18 and 20 and 23, just becoming and entering into this stage where they have, girlfriends, boyfriends, they have a way of doing things now because they're out of the house. And when we all come together again, it's a real discovery stage, like to go, now you're drinking coffee. You weren't drinking coffee a couple of years ago. So now we're doing that together. Now you like to walk around the block and talk in the neighborhood. And that wasn't something when you were 10, that was really all that important. And so the fact that the holidays bring us together, but it's new and different. And there are some traditions we have, but we also have now new interactions and new conversations. And I love it. It's a fresh, different, magical stage that comes alive most at Christmas when we all get together again.
Yeah, one of the mantras is just bring the joy. Bring the joy. How do I bring the joy? Because I think that's one of the things they'll remember when they have kids.
Yep.
And that's one of the things I'll remember. And there's so many reasons to not fight for joy. And so I'm thinking back last year, some almost 30 years ago, we were frat guys at college. We stole a bunch of decorations as pledges and decorated the house for the Christmas party. We had this huge light up Santa Claus that we added a fountain pump and a long hose, and it was the drink dispenser for the party. Nice. And you just take your solo cup and fill it up, and it was an absolute joy bomb. And for years, I was like, Mo's going to bring that back. Uncle Mo's going to bring back that joy. And last year, I spent like 4 or 5 nights, like in the garage in the evening, rebuilding a 3-foot Santa Claus fountain accessory for the Christmas season. And it was just a complete joy bomb. And it was a V1, so I gave it away, and I'm building V2 this year.
Nice.
But like Christmas Eve was always the holiness of childhood. I remember like it was the one moment of the Catholic world where it was like Christmas carols and incense and candles, and it felt transcendent. And so the ache of wanting to recover that, but it's Sherry's birthday and it's always complicated. How do you honor her and Christmas Eve? And last year we ended up throwing this party with all teenagers. I bought strobe lights and disco balls, and there was a moment of all these teenagers on the kitchen island on Christmas Eve having the time of their life. And it was like, this isn't the joy I thought, but this is joy.
Yes.
The kids were having joy.
Yeah.
And so I even feel in my body as I remember those stories, like God is the author of joy. He's fighting for our joy. It may not look like what we thought, but there's a way to recover joy, and it's needed now more than ever. And so I want to bring it.
Yeah, it's really good. I love your thing, Alan. Earlier, you said, I love the moments. I'm just looking for the moments now. And I'm happy with those. So me too. Like I just have my eye out for the moments. So this week, we get Thanksgiving this year. I'm really looking forward to it. And I love wild game. We're a hunting culture here at Wild at Heart. And so making some wild game for Thanksgiving, everybody enjoying it. Stacy does this phenomenal wild mushroom gravy that I look forward to. I'm looking forward to this week, and I'm not living out past it yet because I don't know. This isn't our Christmas this year, so I'm not really sure what that's going to look like. But we have Thanksgiving, and I love Thanksgiving because it seems to have less of the, the pressure and the commercial around it. So, that's
good.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So hope this is helpful, everybody. It's really our heart to, just bless you and help you navigate through your holidays, starting here in Thanksgiving week and then on into December. And we'll be back with some more conversations into Christmas, into the Christmas season. But right now, it's not Christmas. Right now, it's Thanksgiving week. And we hope you have a great Thanksgiving week.